A flight crew is landing at an unfamiliar airport. The control tower gives them a runway assignment and they start their approach. The pilot says, "Does that runway look kind of short to you?" The co-pilot says, "It sure does." "I thought it was supposed to be longer than that." "Me too. Better set full flaps." Full flaps set. "I want thrust reversers the minute we touch." Standing by on the thrust reversers. And full power once thrust reversers are set. Roger that. I'm going to try to catch the very end of the runway and stand on the brakes. Stand by to reverse thrust. Roger that. They touch down, blast the thrust reversers, stomp the brakes, and just manage to get the plane stopped before it runs off into the grass. "GPD in heaven," panted the pilot. "That was the shortest runway I've ever landed on." His co-pilot says, "Yeah, but look how wide it is." 1. It just happens that a long time ago, and for the first time in their lives, two country boys take their first flight from Florida to New York. While they're talking to each other, they get interrupted by an announcement from the pilot. "Sorry to disturb you all, but I think it's best you know one of our engines has failed. Don't worry, we can still make it on 3 engines, but there'll be a delay of 1 hour." So they begin talking again, but soon another announcement is heard. "We regret to inform you that our second engine has failed, which will mean another delay of 1 hour, but don't worry, we'll still make it." So the two grumble a bit, but not for long, as the pilot's voice is heard again after a few minutes. "Unfortunately, our third engine has failed, meaning there'll be a delay of another hour to the journey." One of them turns to his friend and says, "Well darn, if that last engine fails, we'll be up here all night." 2. An old man, a schoolboy, a lawyer, a doctor, and a community service worker are all on a plane with only 4 parachutes when the pilot of the plane has a stroke and passes away. As the plane plummets its passengers to death, the 5 members of the aircraft argue over who deserved to have the 4 bags containing the parachutes. Social worker. "I deserve to live because I protect vulnerable children and support families in need of assistance." The social worker grabs the nearest bag and plummets out of the aircraft. Lawyer. "I deserve to live because I advocate for my clients through my sharp wit and massive knowledge." The lawyer grabs the second bag and plummets out of the aircraft. Doctor. "I deserve to live because I help diagnose ill people with my specialized training." The doctor grabs the third bag and plummets out of the aircraft. This leaves only the schoolboy and the old man in the plane, with it descending towards the ground. Old man. "Go ahead, boy. Take the last parachute. You have many years ahead of you, while I am just an old man who doesn't have as many years left." Schoolboy. "Don't worry, we can both take a parachute. Look, there are still 2 left." The old man just stares in shock. What? But those 3? Remember the lawyer with the sharp wit and the massive knowledge? He took my school backpack. 3. A sign in a restaurant window reads, "If you order it and we don't have it, you instantly win $1 million. A man walking by notices the sign and walks into the restaurant, sitting down with a smirk. The waiter asks for his order, and the man requests white rhinoceros stew. Surprisingly, the waiter returns with a steaming bowl of exactly that. The man, taken aback, eats the expensive meal and leaves angrily after paying. The next day, he returns with the same smirk and orders bullet ants stuffed with dolphin meat. The waiter promptly brings him his requested dish. Once again, the man, surprised, eats his meal, pays and leaves in frustration. On the third day, he sits down and asks for a lactating mermaid breast sandwich. After a few minutes, the waiter returns with 2 large duffel bags containing $1 million. Ecstatic, the man exclaims, "I knew it! You don't have mermaid breast." The waiter politely responds, "We actually do, sir. We just ran out of bread." 4. A married couple wakes up one morning, and while still lying in bed, the wife turns to her husband and says, "Maybe you shouldn't go to work today." "What do you mean? Why shouldn't I go to work today?" replied the confused husband. "I think you've been working too hard, so maybe instead of going to the office, you should take a few days off, pack a suitcase, and go stay with a friend for a few days away from home." The husband thought for a moment and decided to jump at the suggestion before it disappeared. Within moments, he was up, dressed, and started packing clothes into a bag. Just out of curiosity, the husband asked while getting ready, "How did you come to the conclusion that I've been working so hard that I need a break?" "You were dreaming about your work all night," the wife answered. "Really? How do you know I was having dreams about work?" "Because every 2 minutes you were shouting your secretary's name." 5. A young man goes into a liquor store and approaches the shop owner. Customer: "Excuse me, can I ask you a question?" Shop owner: "Sure, son, go ahead." Customer: "Why are you selling the Jack Daniels at $30 per bottle?" Shop owner: "And why shouldn't I exactly?" Customer: "But the owner of the shop across the street sells it at $20 per bottle." Shop owner: "Well, if you don't like it, why don't you go and buy there?" Customer: "Well, because right now they don't have any Jack Daniels." "I assure you, young man," said the shop owner, "once I run out of Jack Daniels, I'll be selling it at $15 per bottle." 6. A big bus stops at a roadside eatery. The passengers flood inside the eatery, and as they take their respective seats, the driver calls the manager aside and explains, "Look, sir, we're from the mental asylum down the road. I'm taking the inmates for a ride." When they're done eating, they will insist on paying with bottle caps like they do inside. Please humor them and accept their payments. I'll clear the entire check at the end. So, as each passenger finishes eating and pays with bottle caps, the manager solemnly accepts them. After they were all seated in the bus, the driver approaches the manager, who presents the bill to him. The driver carefully scans the bill. "Excellent. I'm grateful for your cooperation. You don't know how hard it is to handle these people. Now, would you have change for a hubcap?"